Jordan Peterson once said, "Don't allow your children to do anything that would make you dislike them." I think this is a very good statement, and I wanted to give parents a list of things that they should think about regarding this idea. Some people have argued that this is making their children's behavior all about them as a parent rather than looking at the needs of the child. That's actually not true. Children know when their parents like them, and they also know when others like them, and they know when they don't. That knowledge directly correlates to the way they view themselves, their own capabilities, and their own self-worth. Even if parents love their children, that doesn't always mean they like them. So when parents allow their children to do things that are annoying and antisocial, such as throwing tantrums, running around screaming in public indoor spaces, and etc., they are contributing to the real possibilities of others not liking their children, and therefore contributing to the thoughts in the mind of that child that they are not likable or a worthy person in the eyes of others. When others are around you and your children, they should be delighted. And though I know it's hard to admit, if you don't really like to be around your own children, chances are others don't either. If that's the case, it's time to work on it. Here are some things to watch out for regarding the likability of your child. Number 1, awareness of others. The first thing that your child needs to learn about the world around them is that others matter. You want to shape their mind around the idea that they are a part of the society that they are living in, and it is their job to do whatever they can to be of service. Whether that means actually serving someone in some way, or just not being a distraction or annoyance to others. Number 2, making noise. Children should be taught to be aware of the noise they are causing. It should be pointed out to them if they are being overly loud in small spaces. Others should not have to adjust their volume to have a conversation in the presence of children. So let them know that if others cannot have a conversation because they are in the room, they are being too loud. Number 3, boisterous behavior. I have 2 young grandsons, and I have taught them that when they come over to my house, there are places to play and there are places not to play. So the playroom is downstairs. They know it is where they can be boisterous, silly, wrestle around within reason. They have a choice to do that downstairs or outside. But in the living area where others are gathered, that kind of behavior isn't appropriate. Let your children know where they can play and be crazy like kids sometimes are, and where they can't. Why? Because of others. Number 4, interrupting. Your child learning how and when to interrupt when others are talking is an important point. Your friends and family can't enjoy your children being at events where they are gathered if they are constantly being interrupted during conversation. Teach your children how to interrupt politely so they will not be that annoying child who keeps talking over the adults and disregarding the fact that they are in the middle of a sentence. If you don't know about the hand on the arm method, I'll put a link at the top of the page somewhere here and one in the description below so you can see exactly how to teach your child to interrupt politely. Number 5, rude greetings. One of the things many parents miss and seem to not even know is an issue is that their children need to know how to respond properly when they're greeted by others. Hiding behind a parent's leg, ignoring someone when they speak to them, and etc. is not acceptable. They need to learn how to meet and greet others politely. They can learn this as early as they can walk. Teach them how to shake hands properly, how to answer the common questions like, what's your name? How old are you? How are you? It's nice to meet you, etc. All of those common greetings will happen, and they need to know exactly what to say. You can role play this with them so they can practice it before that happens. Number 6, correcting adults. We all have roles to play in each other's lives, and one of the roles of a child is to show respect to their elders. Let the child know there will be a time in their life when it will be acceptable to debate with another adult. While they're children, it's not that time. If they have a question in a classroom setting, that's different, and that is a place to ask questions and think through what they're being taught, and to keep in mind not everything their teacher says is always true. But in a social setting, it is better to listen and give their opinion at appropriate moments rather than to try to correct or belittle adults. Adults should always be respectful to children and listen to their concerns and questions. But children should respect adults too, and a bold, arrogant child is not an attractive one. and will be seen as a nuisance rather than a blessing that they really are. Number 7, asking inappropriate or intrusive questions. Children should also be aware that there are certain subjects that are not appropriate for a child to ask. One would be how old an adult woman is, how much money does someone make, or why they got divorced. Things like that are personal and not something to ask. This is one of those points that you can try to help them understand, but ultimately there will be a time when a child might ask a question completely unaware that it's not appropriate. We have to prepare ourselves for that moment, but all you can do is try by letting them know there are such subjects. Then when it happens, you can say, that's one of those subjects I was talking about. Number 8, oversharing. My oldest son has Asperger's syndrome, and that comes with a problem of not being able to read social signs well. He has it extra hard because he's also visually impaired, so he can't read faces well anyway. One thing I told him was to listen to what the other person is doing during a conversation. If he keeps talking and the other person isn't asking questions or engaging in the subject, it's time to change it by asking them a question and allowing them to take the conversation in a different direction. If they aren't asking questions, they aren't interested. Teach your child that they may be oversharing on a subject if the other person isn't responding in that way. So when I was talking about making noise, too much noise in the presence of others, you might have been thinking about the tantrum situation, and of course those who have followed the Mommy Answer Lady know there's a whole bunch of information on what to do about tantrums and exactly how to teach children not to do them. And there's also a lot more things you can teach your child about being likable and socially apt by clicking on the screen now. Parents, you can do this. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you here next time.